Hello, good evening, welcome back. VARC last mile, what to do in the last 35 days, and how to make the most of the preparation time, as well as maybe how to attempt the VARC section, right? How to make the most of it. Though it is so heavily reading dependent, like when we talk about quant, there are various topics. I can say, okay, this topic has appeared and this topic has not appeared recently. But VARC, 95% of it has become reading comprehension only. I would say 100%, but para jumbles or odd one out uh, requires reading and some logic also. But the rest of it is reading only, right? So if you master this one skill, then you're sorted. And if you haven't mastered that skill, then you have to try and break through, right? Because if you've gone through any of the workshops or you've gone through the course, we have looked at how passively normally people read, right? They just go from left to right and they try and read everything. And we have looked at basically 4-5 tools and practiced it a lot of times, but 4-5 tools that help us to break that linear reading habit, to activate our reading chakras, as we say, to read in more better clarity, higher detail, etc., etc., right? So that's a skill that you have to break through, and if you have done that, then you're kind of sorted. And if you haven't done that, then I would recommend that drop everything. Assuming, let's say, your quant is sorted, your DILR is a little bit sorted, it would be a dedicated 2 weeks, 3 weeks deep dive into RC, and you can break through, right? If there's still time to do it, because I always maintain, as far as training is concerned, it's a 21-day detailed process, right? If you spend 21 days, 2 days, 3 days per day, by the end of it, your brain would have definitely changed as far as how it processes any reading data, right? How it looks at any text. So that would be the main idea. Uh, but essentially that only, right? That have I got my reading skills in place, right? So those of you who have gone through some of the reading skills videos, then again it becomes, I mean, normally what I do is I look at a passage and I talk about the skill only. But there is enough of that in the course. Even on YouTube, there is like a reasonable amount of number of CAT workshops as such. So for the details, you can go there. In case you haven't done that reading comprehension playlist, I suggest you do it immediately. If you're a student and you have done it, then then we'll talk about the other tips as such. But if you haven't done my reading comprehension playlist, at least on YouTube, please do that. Do that in a week, 10 days, and between now and the next mock, if you give a 10-day break between the next mock, you will see a difference, especially if it's like a good quality CAT level paper. Uh, so, because I mean, a lot of ideas there, right? So, basically, to those people who have gone through it, right, in terms of what makes my reading better and easier, I definitely want to have a strong vocabulary in place. In fact, if you have done your QA preparation, right, and you're like, yeah, I started in January, I've done it once, I've revised it also. Every other day I take a QA test and I'm doing some revision also, right? So for the last 30-35 days, this a deep dive investment into vocabulary would be great, because it is not mentally very draining. For example, if I say learn a new maths topic in 2 days, it will result in a considerable amount of mental load. But if I say whenever possible, just like maintain a small vocabulary notebook and keep adding words to it, right? Just be aware of all the new words and ideas that you're saying. Now, when we think of vocabulary, we kind of look at words only, and the in terms of day-to-day words as such, right? Uh, but vocabulary or words are also big ideas, right? So philosophical ideas. Uh, what is the history of philosophy? What are the major events in the art movement as such? These are also words only, and they are a related idea. What is socialism? What is capitalism? Uh, uh, right now, so essentially the idea being not only your the the vocabulary for day to day communication, but vocabulary of ideas as such, right? What is happening, what is the history of the Americas, what is the history of Japan, samurai culture, what is that about? So when I say samurai, it's one term, but it's also a whole exploration subject, right? So not just the daily words, but also these idea words, right? Words are ideas. So if I'm done, if I have worked on my reading skills, then definitely I want to heavily invest in upgrading my word skills, right? Also, this learning words is such a long term, long returning investment, right? It will keep paying off over and over again. You work on your language skills now, they will come in handy when you go for your interview. Forget about going for your interview. When you write down your essays for your B school or even an application for a company, your language skills, basically your resume, right? Your language skills will come into the picture. You have to write a statement of purpose if you're heading to a B school abroad or even after GRE, right? So language skills matter a lot on a daily basis, not only for the entrance test. Say you become a small business owner, or you have a business idea. Again, you have to communicate your vision. You will have to use your language skills only. Maybe the maths part of that business plan would be very limited. It can all be done in an Excel file, right? But language and communication will be a major skill in your future life. If you're thinking of this world economy, right? You'll have to make a presentation, you'll have to convince someone, you'll have to present something in a board meeting. All of that is language and communication, right? And communication is language is words. Grammar will be fixed in due time, but do I have a vast reservoir of words, right? Like, do I know what things mean, and then can I communicate? So I would definitely invest a lot of time in vocabulary upgrades in case you haven't done it, right? In fact, uh, if you're done with the reading skills part and you're still struggling with reading skills in the test as such, then definitely the missing component is vocabulary, because I can teach you the logical skills in a very short period of time, right? I said 21 days I can teach you whatever is needed in terms of analyzing text. But if you get stuck at every other word, every third word, and you're generally uncomfortable in just that second language feeling that I can't read the whole sentence smoothly, then you will struggle. There is no way out of it. So when you check out the VARC scores of people who have done very well, and you ask them, and if you just talk to them, you'll find majority of them. Of course, there are exceptions, people who have broken through and worked on their skills, but you'll see a vast majority of them, they have been reading for a while. They come from a household which probably has been reading, or the household language is already English, right? So I mean, I belong to such an household. When I was in school and even through college, reading was a major hobby for me, right? And that was even before I knew of cat. So my father read, my mother read books, my sister, and these are people who were reading before me. I got into the habit late, right? But when I first appeared for CAT, it was very easy for me simply because my reading was sorted. By the way, when I appeared for CAT, nobody had trained me, so I was still doing that left to right reading. But my left to right reading was good. My vocabulary was strong, at least strong enough for the CAT level, and I could do 3 out of 4 questions in most passages fairly easily, right? And attempt all of it, speed wasn't a problem. So, in fact, VARC can be that if you have been reading, if you have a reading habit in your pocket, you've read the Harry Potter novels. I don't know what's the modern equivalent of Harry Potter. I'm sure Harry Potter is now outdated. But let's say you have a regular reading habit. You have a bookshelf in your bedroom or in your living room, and you're into buying books, and you're always carrying a book. I mean, it has reduced these days because of this Instagram scrolling all the time. Reading has reduced generally worldwide, but those kind of people, right? Some of you might be like that. For anybody like that, they can not prepare for the VARC section and still outscore a lot of people who went for like 1 year worth of coaching, right? So that definitely matters. So essentially, what you have to do now is what I did slowly in 3-4 years of casual reading, right? The vocabulary I would have developed, the comfort with the language I would have developed. You have to do it in 6 months, 3 months, 90 days. And it's very simple. It's still a matter of, okay, it is made up of words and the way I read. The way I read is reading skills. The words is my vocabulary investment. If I don't work on it, or if I don't have it in place, is always going to be troublesome. So in case your QA is sorted and you have some time, please learn at a rapid rate. We know skills like etymology, learning words via root-based structure, right? So sit with one of those vocabulary books and finish it in 2 3 days, and then find another one and finish it again, and then sit with a newspaper and read everything. All your free time should be spent reading, and just not reading actually, movies, shows, documentaries, they all count. Newspaper, magazines, whatever you are reading will is generally slightly boosting your verbal ability, right? So the more you read, the better you will become. But if you really want to push it, okay, and I say, what do I do when I'm waiting for a bus at a bus stand? I will read something. What do I do on the pot? I will read something. I'm in a cafe waiting for a friend. Let me take out something and read something. And these days you can you can install a Kindle app, or a book app, and I'm sure you guys are way ahead of me in terms of finding things on the internet, and you can find a PDF of a great book and read it whenever you have like 2 minutes of free time, right? So, but let me be clear, just that plain reading, oh, I just been reading novels and I've seen a lot of movies, and I only watch English content, so I'm comfortable with the language. I will still struggle with cat because suddenly I have a time pressure and the headline is not there in the passage, and there is a task of reading at end. So for that we need the reading skills, right? That's the number one idea. And also, if you acquire reading skills, you might not have to do that daily a lot of reading, because the skills work, they're based on 4 5 ideas, and they will just completely open up the process of compressing information quickly, finding the central idea quickly, eliminating the unnecessary part, or using it depending on the questions only. So a very DILR kind of approach, right? The DILR has a big table, but not every entry of the table is needed. I look at the question and I look at the relevant data. So reading can also be like that. I make a quick preview map of it. I understand what the central idea is. I know what is there in each paragraph. And then if the time is limited, I look at the question and then address that detail, right? Then read the detail according to the question. And if there is no detail needed, I skip the detail altogether. So, and all of this, by the way, in case this is not making sense, all of this can be learned by the YouTube reading playlist only. In the course, it's just a lot more of it, right? The course is designed to keep you busy for like at least 30 days of high intensity work or 1 year of low intensity work, right? When I say 30 days, that means you'll have to do 3 passages in a day. That means 3 hours each day with me. And then in 90 hours, essentially you will begin to read like me. You will begin to read like me after the first workshop only. So ideally what you should do is you should do one workshop and then try and apply that idea in one passage on your own, right? And you will still struggle because it's a matter of you have understood the skill, but it is not deeply absorbed, right? For example, I watch a basketball game and I'm like, yeah, this is how shooting works, but I haven't had enough practice of shooting in the actual court. So when I go to the court and I shoot, the ball is not going into the basket, right? So that's the difference between knowing the skill and absorbing the skill deeply. So please, if you're struggling with VARC still, please finish the reading comprehension playlist. You will see an improvement in the first hour. You will say, oh, my mind is already changing. I'm already developing new muscles. And if you follow the process for even 7 days, you will see, okay, suddenly there is a change in perspective in terms of how I read. But otherwise, essentially, it's about getting good at languages, right? Good at the language, right? Now, what language are you good at? What language are you good at? And if you ask yourself and inquire into it, say, my first language, my mother tongue is Hindi, let's say. And in Hindi, I didn't have to buy any vocabulary books. Even in Hindi, there could be levels of vocabulary. But let's say the comfort, right? And so, how did I learn that first language? I learned that first language from people around me, right? When I was born, I was surrounded by that language. and I didn't put in any effort. It just happened in a few years. Suddenly, I was speaking in Hindi. By the time I reached my school days, I was already making full sentences. And even after that, you kept learning from movies, from songs, and here and there, all around you, the language was there. Whatever your mother tongue is, whatever is the language that you have mastered so far, you will see you were just surrounded by it. So, again, you have to do the same thing. You have to surround yourself, you have to drown yourself, right? Drown figuratively, not literally, and drown in the language, right? That means when I wake up in the morning and I read the newspaper, that is the first thing that I still do, right? Even though these days the news has already come a day before on your socials, but let's say it's a good habit. I start the morning by reading the newspaper, finding out about what has happened in the world. When I was younger, I was really into the sports page. So that's how slowly that's how typically people get into reading, right? That, okay, I watch cricket and I saw the match yesterday, or maybe I missed it, so I'm reading the report. And in fact, I'm bored. I'm looking for entertainment. So I saw the match and I'm reading the report again in the morning, right? And then I'm going to the college library and then reading another newspapers, another report, because I just want to read about my favorite player more and more, right? And all of these articles are using good words and idioms and phrases, and they're automatically going into my brain, right? So if you met me when you were in class 12th and said, okay, I eventually want to head into my top B school, I would say just read a lot and don't worry about it. CAT would be very easy, because in 3-4 years all of that data will get absorbed. You're not even actively trying, right? And the same thing, and then, okay, I read the newspaper, and then when I'm bored, what am I doing? Am I watching? If you a lot of, there's streaming content, right? I don't know what it is called, OTT, I think, streaming slash OTT, or watching movies or downloading movies from somewhere. And I remember in colleges, people had like these hard drives of movies, right, floating around. You go to a friend and ask him, okay, what movies do you have? And they will say, okay, yeah, this is all pirated activity. But these days you have like sites also, right? The streaming sites and legal sites. So if you're wasting time also, and your plan is to, oh, I just want to watch something, switch it to English, right? And you will see that again, the more you do that, the more comfortable you will become with the language. There has to be a passion, guys. There has to be like a drive and a hunger and a need to get better at the language. I wanted to do it to impress some girl, right? So I was like, no, this, because I was feeling bad about it. Now, we can also say why I feel bad about us learning a second language. But let's say for whatever reason you want to learn it, that determination, that first is the first thing in learning anything, right? So once that determination is there, then there are these tools. Okay, whatever I'm watching, I'll watch in English. I'll watch movies. I'll watch these TV shows. I'll watch sitcoms. And in sitcoms, these are so many jokes are just made on multiple meanings of the same word, right? Uh, so which is a part of my VARC preparation. So in fact, if you had even 2 years, I would say, guys, VARC prep is the best prep experience of your life, because watching a movie, because watching a TV show, watching a documentary, watching anything in the English language, as long not Indian TV news, because that is just bad these days, but beyond that, anything that I watch in English will be the song. If I'm listening to music, let me switch to English music and then look at those songs lyrics, right? Because if I surround myself with the language, I will become better at the language. Your brain is already good at learning languages. You don't even have to try much, right? The extra effort comes in because a lot of times we have to do a lot of stuff. Oh, I have only 3 months. I don't know why people do that. 3 months before they want to decide like the big career step, right? IIM is a pretty big deal. You should have given it some serious thought about it like earlier also, right? But let's say, and that's why the reading skills and the vocabulary videos all packed together and courses, etc. Because we want to do what naturally happens in 3 years, 4 years, we want to do it in 1 year, right? Or if I want to do it in 6, 8 months as such. So that would be the idea. As far as the test is concerned, right? If I look at it's the biggest section is just the direct reading comprehension, right? Because earlier, once again, like a few years back, there would be some reading, there would be some vocabulary questions, direct questions, some fill in the blank, there would be some grammar, there would be some para jumbles, right? But as of now, a very big chunk, right? 16 out of 22 questions, let's say, calculate your own percentages. 16 out of 20, let's calculate for simplification. 4 by 5, 80% is direct reading comprehension. That means a passage and 3-4 questions after it. And then you have your a couple of questions for a summary selection, which is nothing but, it's not deletion, which is nothing but reading skills only. Go through the summary selection videos and you will see, okay, no new idea, the same ideas that I mastered in reading comprehension, the same ideas are being applied here. And then you have para jumbles and odd one out. But my recommendation, guys, is unless if your reading is sorted, your summary is sorted, and you think you've tried well with the questions, and you finished with your reading section, right? You were attempting the test and you saw, oh, I've done all the 4 passages. I've looked at those complicated questions in my reading comprehension again, and I've done summary also. Then only do para jumbles and odd one out, or otherwise I would say ignore it. Para jumbles used to be very easy when they were with options, but without options it become difficult, right? And that is available, that data is available in your attempts, the attempts of your seniors over the last 3-4 years. Very low accuracy rates, right? That means most of the people are making mistakes in this section. So I would say, unless you are very, very comfortable, or it's just better to nail the reading comprehension and summary selection, because there's almost a certainty in terms of how clearly I can get to the answers. In para jumbles, there is, I personally find it a little ambiguous, because a sentence here and a sentence there doesn't really make a huge, sometimes it's very, very easy also. But let's say theoretically in a para jumble, I can create a para jumble where the order 1, 3, 2, 4 is fine, but the order 4, 1, 3, 2 is also fine. And we can debate it till the kingdom comes, right? So in case, my strategy would be, okay, keep it as a bonus question. Out of the 3 para jumbles or 3 odd ones out, maybe one of them would be easy and very, very obvious. Read them, try it out, but I would not count on it. Neither is it important enough, right? It's like 5% of the test or something. So my major focus would be on reading comprehension, because that's what the test has become these days. It's only reading, right? 4 passages or 4 questions each. That has been the pattern for the last couple of years. And in this, because even this year they're following the same pattern, the COVID pattern. So you can expect the same kind of weight distribution, right? That means it's a good thing, right? One of the advantages in reading comprehension is you don't have to take any formula with you. You don't have to, a lot of people say that, oh, you should know about history and science. It can help, right? It can also give you that feeling of comfort. Say if you saw a video on Picasso yesterday, and today while appearing for the test, there was a passage on Picasso, there would be that a little bit of extra comfort. But as far as the skill is concerned, right, the reading skill, I have worked on the process where it doesn't matter what the subject matter is, because all the subjects, right, all kinds of passages, whether it's economy or philosophy or psychology, all of them have conjunctions. All of them will use words like but, therefore, furthermore, on the other hand, while, meanwhile, first, second, third. They will all follow that common structure, right? Secondly, all of them will follow the basic structure of information. There will be a central idea and there will be some elaboration, right? So my reading approach, at least, is it doesn't matter what the subject is. In fact, whether it's science or sociology, my reading skills are the same. I'm looking for the central idea. I'm using the conjunctions to predict and anticipate, right? This is an example I use all the time. What do I mean by prediction? Sham is a good boy. He's honest. He finishes all his work on time. Ram, on the other hand, if you paid attention to the sentence, you're already thinking about Ram even when I have not said anything about Ram, all I've said is Ram on the other hand. So you use Sham's properties, you use the conjunction on the other hand, and your brain can predict what is going to happen, right? The Ram character is going to be shady, it's going to be negative. And that, can I deploy that in reading? Can I predict? Can I anticipate, right? And all of, again, I don't want to get into the actual skills because that's what I always do anyway, right? Whenever somebody says what to do about RC, I will take a passage and decode it. But I mean, we have done enough of this, so that's why I just generally talking about how to do VARC, right? But if you are interested in what I'm saying, please finish the YouTube playlist in case you haven't done it. In case you have done it, I'm pretty sure if you finish even like a little bit of it, there will be enough of a boost almost immediately, right? In a week or so, assuming that you're okay with basic English, right? If you are from the vernacular medium and you're just very uncomfortable with English, then obviously the playlist is going to be difficult because as of now it is in English, right? The medium of transmission is English. Someday I'll make a, not someday, very soon I'll make a Hindi plus version of it as well. So that would be the idea that first priority number one would be master reading skills, right? Can somebody tell me what are the skills they have acquired when, I mean, it's a skill, right? How to read better? Does anybody want to tell me quickly? Somebody is asking where to buy your whole prep videos. I don't know what whole prep means, but the link for the course side where you can buy and access courses is below every video, guys, right? So below every video in the description box, there would be links to the course site. Please go there and explore the courses. But yeah, I'm waiting for maybe just questions also. First, I'm asking what are the reading skills that you have learned so far from me or from anywhere else? What is it that can make your life easy? And if you have any specific questions, you can just throw them my way also, right? So otherwise, the tips would be if you're, I mean, because you might be struggling with QA and DILR as well. But if you're done with QA, you're done with DILR, then I would just read a lot. I would just spend my time reading. And again, if I've mastered my reading skills, I know I must preview, right? Like I know the importance of previewing. I know the importance of building connections. I know the importance of reading the paragraph twice, thrice if there is a question, going back and visiting, right? I know the importance of conjunctions and I use them while reading. I look for the broad structure and then the details, not getting lost in the details, etc. Right? If all of that is in place and you know, okay, yeah, I mean, I have done, okay, very simply put, if you have done the whole course, right? If you have finished those 80, 90 workshops, then you can just stop everything and read fiction or whatever makes you just happy, right? Maybe it could be non-fiction, it could be fiction, it could be biography, whatever makes you happy, just read a lot because your skills are in place. Now you just need a little bit of reading momentum, if at all. You can also not do anything and chill. But if you're saying, okay, I want to further push it, the skills I have already mastered. So I would read graphic novel, I would read a comic, I would read the newspaper, I would read 2 newspapers in the day, I would read the editorials, and if I want to challenge myself, I would try and read as much variety as possible. Also, have you heard of channels like TED Ed, right? I'm sure you've heard of TED Talk. So TED Talks and TED Ed, maybe a couple of videos every day. There's a channel that I've recommended often, it's called Crash Course. So go there and learn about history of China and how what happened in the Renaissance and how do world economies work, everything, right? And so it's like a mini documentary, 8 minutes, 10 minutes. And essentially what you're doing is you're expanding your database of the world. So the more you do it, easier, I mean, the probability of finding a passage which you know something about already goes higher and higher. And when that happens, generally people feel more comfortable looking at the passage, right? So for example, if you saw a video yesterday on Discovery TV about the Japanese history and culture, and the next day in the section test or in the mock, there is a passage on Japanese culture which is on samurais, which has happened in CAT, right? There has been, I mean, just a year or two back, there was a passage on samurais. So if you are into samurai movies, you'll say, "Oh, I'm already an expert at Japanese culture. So give the passage to me," and you will even read it with slightly more interest, right? So expand your database of the world, as we say, right? So somebody has given me a couple of tips for reading skills. They say general, specific, great, right? General, specific is the heart of reading. What is the general idea and what are the specific details as such? Conjunctions is a great idea. Use tracking pronouns. Half the time what people call philosophical passages, it was difficult because it was philosophy. They are just struggling with keeping tab of the pronoun. What does the pronoun refer to? Again, not getting into this right now. Find a video called See a Pronoun, Ask a Question, or finish any of the workshops in the reading comprehension playlist, and you will see what I mean by this skill, right? So, simple skills can boost your perception. Vocabulary investments will make the sentence reading easier, and a database of the world, which will help you anyway in just having a conversation in future with almost anyone, learning more about the world, just being generally a wiser, better person, because you better, I don't know, but generally more aware of the world around you, right? Because you might be very well read and you still might be a bad person. So I don't know about that. So master reading skills, invest a lot in words. The channels I was mentioning are TED Ed. There's a channel called Crash Course. I'll put up a list of these channels on the Telegram page anyway, and I've done it like hundreds of times before also. Uh, so as and watch movies. If find okay, top 50 movies of all time and start watching them, right? Because through and assuming they're English, or even if they're not English, they'll have English subtitles, which is making you read anyway. Uh, or a TV show. There's a TV show on Hotstar called Rome, and I remember. I mean, I already liked Rome before the TV show came, and there were books on it. But I'm assuming. I mean, let's say reading a book is difficult, watching a TV show is easier. I watched that show and I learned so much about Roman history, and maybe if there's a passage on Rome, I'll find it easy, right? So expanding that database one way or another, maybe movies, right? Movies as well. And at least I'm assuming that basic newspaper every day you've been reading, right, for the last 1 year at least. And if you haven't, don't worry, it's never too late to start. CAT happens every year. Start today, right? Start tomorrow. What's there in the newspaper? Because reading, I mean, for example, even if the same idea is available in a movie or in a book, if I want to develop my brain, I want to go for the book, because in the movie the imagination is being supplied by someone else, and therefore it is not putting enough load on my brain. But when I read it, it's a very actively engaging process, right? My brain works along with the author to create a universe. So reading has to be there, right? Gulshan, how to play structure of difficult sentences? I don't know what that question means actually, but check the reading playlist for. I mean, that's an academic question, right? This is more of a what to do now in the last uh, 30, 40 days. And I really don't know what that question means, right? How to play structure of difficult sentences. We have looked at how to decode long sentences. In long sentences, you try and match the beginning to the end, or the subject to the verb, and then slowly you read it one more time, right? And again, in the course or in the even in the reading comprehension video, somewhere or the other, you will find an example. Try and finish the playlist, or better still, sign up for the course and try and finish the course. In the course, there are plenty of these examples. I mean, they're everywhere, because in every passage there would be this one long sentence. And so we make a habit out of it, never reading the sentence just passively, right? Or it's very simple. You read a sentence you don't understand, you read again and again till you understand. You don't move on to the next sentence essentially. And then by doing so, you will learn that match the subject to the verb, right? I say the number representing the number representing the intellectuals who participate in some 5 more complicated words I throw in between, connected to the French counterculture and the Russian influence on this French counterculture is going down. So what you had to catch was the number is going down, right? Go back a step or two and focus on what I said. I said the number representing the intellectuals working in the French counterculture influenced by the Russian land mafia is going down. So the number is going down, right? Okay, easy to understand. Number of what? I ask a question again, right? So Gulshan ji, finish the playlist, finish the course. And yeah, get a vocabulary book for yourself, right? And make a vocabulary notebook. If you haven't done that, Word Power Made Easy, please do that. I have already recommended a couple of other vocabulary books, and I will do so again on Telegram. An adult approach to building vocabulary. Maybe I have it here somewhere. Okay, so maybe not right now, but I'll look for it. An adult approach to building vocabulary, and there are Rosenberg and I'm forgetting the name also. Or go to a bookstore in your city and look for vocabulary books. Whatever you find, Wilfred Funk is a famous author again. Whatever you find, you get it and you start going through it. There'll be some interesting chapters, there'll be some interesting exercises. You finish it in 5, 6, 7 days, and again you will see a good, fast, rapid improvement fairly quickly, right? Don't want to do that, just read all day, collect a lot of words. Finish maybe 2 workshops in a day. If you haven't finished the RC workshops, then that would be priority 1, guys, right? Because what am I saying then? If I haven't done the course, then what is the point of any kind of conversation, right? So assuming you have finished the course, then all of this exploration comes into picture. You go and just watch a lot of TED videos, watch a lot of crash course videos, watch 1 movie a day. It's in English, it's going to work on your VARC. Read the newspaper in the morning, read a novel before sleeping, maybe 30 pages per day, right? Because your skills are in place. If your skills are in place, then you have to fix your skill. The good part is that unlike in quant to finish, let's say starting from 0, every skill, every idea will take 50 days, 60 days, going through everything, right? In here, it's a 7 day, it's a 14 day, it's a 21 day process. Say you're a person who has been practicing a lot of passages from January to March, and January to even July, August, right? So you've already done like some effort there, but you still haven't made the breakthrough. So go through the reading skills playlist. So you've done the effort, you've read a lot, you've collected a lot of words, but your skills are not in place. But the skills can be put in fairly quickly, right? Because they are almost like digital. Anybody can see them. Once they are pointed out, it's very difficult to unsee actually. So skill plus reading plus vocabulary will basically sort you out. And as far as strategy is concerned, is very, very simple. I would ignore the parajumbles, numbers wise also, and simply because of how the general population, if I look at the data of everybody else who has performed in the test, I see that people have not done it well there. Low accuracy rates, low attempt rates as well. And if I can nail down the skills, then the reading those 4 passages and those summary selection question can be fairly straightforward, or at least hitting 75% accuracy and 100% attempt is possible, because the passages have become fairly small. These are 500 word passages typically, right? Even if your reading speed is 150 words per minute, which is slow, 150 to 200 words is like an average reading speed. You can find out your reading speed, take a page of a novel, guess how many words, approximate how many words are there, and then see how much time does it take to finish, and divide the total words by the total time taken. And it will come out to, if you are a English medium school taught student who's been doing a little bit of reading, it will come out to 100, 150 words. So even if you go 100 words per minute, which is very slow, very slowly I'm reading, you can read the whole 500 words in 5 minutes, right? And then around 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes to do the questions, because you've already read everything very slowly anyway in the first time. So even if you give 8 minutes per passage, and again, not all passages are going to be equally difficult, and maybe 6 minutes on another one, and 8 minutes, 4 passages, you have 32 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minute per summary selection question, you have 6 minutes gone and your time is over. You have 3-4 minutes left, you spend it on paragymnals if you want to, right? So reading is because it's so heavy on reading, you have to break through the reading skills door, you have to have the key to that, right? Because in quant you can say, okay, oh, you're struggling with geometry, ignore it, right? Focus on arithmetic. Or if you're not okay with arithmetic, then you have to learn algebra and geometry and these 3 things. Here there is only one central skill. So that's skill, and if you add a lot of vocabulary, what happens with vocabulary is there used to be direct vocabulary questions. Until then people were still learning words. But since the exam has eliminated those direct vocabulary questions, people think there is no need for vocabulary, not realizing that without words you can't read. If I remove all your vocabulary, you can't read a single sentence. And the more words you have, the better you're going to read, right? So that would be the idea. Right, so that would be, and then I think there was one more question. It was about test strategy. And again, I don't think it's a big deal because as I mentioned earlier in the QA workshop, in the old paper you had like full flexibility to attempt anything. I can try RC, then I can try DI, then I can try a few quant questions, and then back and forth. So some strategy comes into play. Here you have a dedicated locked in period and you have to go through all the questions, right? I mean, you have to try all the questions. So what I will do definitely is I will preview, right? And we know preview on a passage level, like every single workshop starts with a preview that I'll read a little and try and understand what's happening. I mean a preview of all the 4 passages before deciding which are you going to do. Okay, previewing all 4, too much work. Okay, so take the first 2, preview both of them, pick the easy one, right? Then again look at one more passage extra because one you have already looked at, and decide which one is easier, because you do want to still maximize your output, right? I am saying that, oh, if you master RC, then you will be able to attempt all the passages, but I'm sure you will be struggling. And so there, to maximize, to make sure that at least the easy stuff is done, you must preview through the test, not just the passage while attempting the passage, because that is one kind of preview. You should preview the whole test before you start the whole, okay, this is the journey, or this is the passage that I'm going to do, or these are the questions that I'm trying to do, right? So don't just start with the first passage and start doing it. Read the first line, last line, first line, last line of each paragraph. Go to the second passage, read the first line, last line, first line, last line of the second, each paragraph, and you will know very quickly which one feels easier to you, right? And I think we have done this in a workshop also. I showed 2 passages. I said, okay, this is one, which should I do first? And almost 90%, 95% of the people chose the easy one, because it's very easy to spot which is easy to you, right? Oh, I tried reading that and the first sentence only was difficult, and the second one was about tea and how tea conquered the world. So obviously I'm going to go for the tea one, right? And once again, remember this, it is the test is made up of escalating level of difficulty. So there is a passage which is very easy, there is a passage which is like easy medium, then there is a passage which is medium tough, and there is a toughish passage, right? There is one passage which will have, in fact the passage might be easy, the questions might tough, right? So make sure that you're previewing and selecting the right passage first. Ideally, if you're my student, I would assume that you have time enough to do all the passages. Even then, I want to do the easy one first and fast and quickly, so that for the tough one I have more time, right? Or if I'm leaving something, right, accidentally I run out of time and I can't do a particular passage, let it be the one which is difficult, because in the difficult one I wasn't going to score too much anyway, right? But at least the easy one I have done for sure. So that is the sum total of your CAT philosophy, that I'm looking for easy stuff, right? The same thing was discussed in the QA workshop as well, that you must look for easy questions first. That is the summary of your strategy. Beyond that, there is not too much, right? Okay, so that's what I want to say. This would be my tips for the last 30-40 days. In fact, for the last 7 days, let's say, right, the 7 days before the exam, uh, learning DILR would be pointless. Learning something new in maths would be pointless. Maybe going through the formula list and just being comfortable there. But you can still learn words all day because they are stress free. You learn one word, 5 minutes later you can learn another word. You're bored for I mean, you're waiting for tea. Another 3 words I've learned, and words are fun, right? So it's not like, oh, you have to solve something. You just have to say, what does it mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? So definitely for the as time gets closer, I would spend more and more of my time definitely in learning words, if nothing else, right? Because again, I will assume that oh, my reading skill is in place already. Uh, and okay, so yeah, there is one more question that I remember now. Somebody says, fluctuation. I go through, I try RC, but my VARC scores fluctuate a lot. That is a sign of lack of clarity. That means your skills are not in place and your vocabulary is weak. Between the two, because what you're doing is you're reading and you're like, yeah, this must be the answer, and you're trying. And unlike maths, where people know that they're wrong or they can't think, in English or in RC, everybody thinks, yeah, this is my answer, I'm okay with it. And when it's wrong, they're like, oh, subjective opinion ka difference it must be. Not that they got it absolutely wrong or they did not see what was there right in front of them, right? And what happens is the days where your tukkas, your guess shots land, your scores are one level, and other time they don't land and they are at another, they go down. So you're not even in control. So the answer to that would be you want to remove this fluctuate. Obviously, skill will help, your vocabulary will help. After that, you also need to slow down and say, I want to approach a passage like a DILR set, where in a DILR set, when I solve it, I know for sure, if I solve it, then I know for sure that it's going to be 100% accuracy, right? Because then, I mean, we've seen in DILR sets, once we figure out the logic and once we fill out the table, questions are very easy. So, can I develop the same approach for RC? I will only try, let's say in a mock practice, I will only try 2 passages. I will give it 15 minutes each, right? The rest 10 minutes I will give for summary selection, whatever. I will only try 2 passages. 2 passages means 8 questions. Can I get them right? Right? By removing the time pressure first of all and realizing if my process is in place or not, right? I want a clear process in place because so people read and they say, yeah, this must be the answer, and they move on. So you need to go back and see where your mistakes are, not just try the next. What people do is they appear for a mock on, let's say, a section test on a Monday. They say, oh, my score is say 25 out of 50, right? And next day they'll take another test. What you need to do is say, why is it 25 out of, if you attempted 50, why are you getting only half right? Go back to the passage, sit with it again and find out what happened, right? Why did you go wrong? What was the reason that you chose the wrong choice? And be brutal about it. Saying that, oh, English is like that, oh, I was also very close. No, you were wrong. Accept it and then find out why were you wrong, what confused you. So you will find, then when you approach it like that, you'll find out, oh boss, I have a reading problem. I don't read well. Okay, then how do I start reading well? And then, okay, I've understood the process. Now, how do I make it even better? Then I add the words to it, right? And again, another reason for that is people read, but they lack critical thinking. So make sure that you have, I'm assuming if you are a course member, at least you have finished the critical thinking course as well and in detail, right? Because reading, yes, but the questions are not factual. The questions are, how will you weaken this argument, or which one of the following does not support the argument? So you need to understand the argument structure as well, right? So critical thinking skills is another. Basically, these are things which typically your coaching ignores. They don't do critical thinking, they don't invest in vocabulary, and therefore you don't do critical thinking and you don't invest in vocabulary. and then you do, even the reading that is taught is not really taught. It is just, oh, here is a passage and I will solve it for you, right? Line by line I will solve it for you, but not how would one solve any kind of a passage. So it's a problem of overall, like it's an industrial problem as well. But if your scores are fluctuating, assume, just the way you would assume that your maths is weak, assume that if scores are fluctuating, assume that RC is weak and then take action accordingly. Don't say, oh, occasionally it goes bad. Think of the other way around. Think of it as occasionally it goes right, which is all luck driven. I would trust the low scores more. I would say, okay, that's my level, and now let me start working from there, right? So the corrective action would be, again, work on your scale, work on your vocabulary, work on your critical thinking, go through 150 critical thinking questions, so that that process is definitely mastered. And then slow down your process. Forget about two passage also, right? Let's say you have 8 mocks from now, and or 8 section tests you have for practice. So in the first one, I want to give 30 minutes and or 20 minutes. 30 minutes might be too much. What will you do? But time is not a constraint. I want to nail the process down first of all, right? Then the time will come, right? Then, okay, how do I reduce my time? And the time will reduce anyway as you practice more and more. But as of now, in case the scores are going topsy-turvy, you slow down, you eliminate the distraction, and you say, okay, let me try only 2 passages. Maybe because what I'm doing, the mistakes I'm doing is in a hurry, right? That means I'm not good enough to play at that speed, essentially, yet, right? Because I'm trying all 4 passages, but my scores are all fluctuating. That means I am not strong enough to run that speed. So let me try a slower speed. Let me get my clarity first. Once clarity is in place, then I can go for speed as well, right? But at least I should know, okay, boss, when I gave it 15 minutes, I had better accuracy, right? And if you see that even after giving 15 minutes, you have no changes in accuracy, then definitely it's a skill problem, right? There's a problem in how we are reading, and there's a problem in vocabulary. In fact, I tell you what, if you have a great vocabulary, like you know all the meanings of all the words and you're comfortable with that, how you build that vocabulary, I don't know. Even without reading skills, you can read everything and try and attempt the questions as such, right? But without vocabulary, if I say zero vocabulary, you won't be able, you're illiterate, you can't read anyway, right? Okay, so I am guessing this is it for now. If there are any more questions, please post them under the video comment section. I'm always listening, even if I'm not immediately responding. I will, if you have a specific detailed, a personal problem, not personal problem, but problem in reading, let's say for this video, right? And I will try and add it into some other discussion soon enough, right? So we are never really out. So the summary would be, pick easy questions first, preview the section, try 2 passages which are easy, then try the tougher one, and then try the toughest one. Maybe try summary selection questions before you try passages. Some people would like that. Or you can say, no, summary I will do later. That is a personal choice. And again, experiment in one section or in one mock, try the summary first, in the other one, try summary later. Play with parajumbles as well, learn them, go through the video course as well. Try and master them as much as possible, but don't rely on them, because inherently I think the accuracy rates are very, very low there. And again, the rest of it is definitely about keeping calm. And what do I believe? I asked this in the workshop also, right? What do I believe? Whether CAT is tough or whether CAT is easy? I would say CAT is easy, and try and convince yourself. Give yourself these affirmations. I love CAT, CAT loves me, it is very easy, I'm destined for B schools anyway. Because reality is dictated by the belief system. If you believe it is very, very tough, it is going to be tough. If you believe that it's just another day in a cricket field, it is going to be as easy as another day in a cricket field, right? So the whole training, that extra training that we do, that extra workshops we do, is basically to build that confidence. Ki, bro, you have done the toughest also, now the easy is going to be fairly easy for you, right? So work on that, calm down, work on your basic balance of life, eat well, drink a lot of water, exercise a little every other day at least. Start reading about the benefits of exercises for your mind, right? Today's agenda could be that. And have a lot of fun with language. Develop a passion for language. Say you want to become good at it and you enjoy, and basically you enjoy the language, right? All the jokes and all the songs are all language only. So you definitely have to become good at one language or the other. It could be Sanskrit or Marathi or Tamil or Japanese, but because our culture, because of colonialism or whatever reason, English has become like a more of a dominant language almost worldwide. So definitely worth learning English, because once you learn it, you can almost work internationally, right? But otherwise, any language learning is great. And so have that passion, have that, it's not only about cat, it's about me as well. It's not only about clearing cat. This investment is going to be great for me, and not only great for you, anybody down line, your progeny, your children and their children's children, because once you acquire language, you will transfer it to your children and they will transfer it to their children. So it's a long, interesting process, right? So do that. Keep me posted. How is it going? But otherwise, if you are not a course member, finish the YouTube playlist. See what happens. If you see an improvement drastically and you're doing enough, maybe sign up for the course. If you're a course member, definitely finish everything in the RC course. And you were busy with quant, no problem. Now do 2 workshops a day. Try the workshops might be 45 minutes to 1 hour long, but if you go and change the video playback speed to 1.5x or 2x, because you just have to listen once and see how the process is being run, right? So even a very high speed viewing will work. Watch 2 passages a day, try 2 on your own, next day watch the discussion again and keep that process going, and I can almost guarantee an improvement, right? How I never guarantee future outcomes, but improvement I can guarantee on a weekly basis, on a 5 day, 7 day, 5 day, 7 day basis. You will see an upward graph. So that would be it for today. Keep me posted. Let me know how it goes. And I will see you guys really soon. Next up will be the how to DILR workshop. But once again, before the how to DILR workshop, maybe finish the at least a few videos of the DILR course has 100 videos, like 100 different videos. You don't need to finish all of them. At least 50 would be enough, right? Because in 50 videos, you would have, actually 25 would be enough to drive home the process. 50 would be enough for practice also. The remaining 50 is your personal choice, right? But at least 50 should be there. But another session coming soon, looking at how to DLR, what can be done with DLR. But our idea would remain the same, whatever we have done in the course, more of it, and maybe some adjustment according to time, right? So this is it for today. Hit the like button, tell a friend, maybe not, what I meant was, I don't know, because whether this will work for everybody, because if I had a reading workshop video, I would say share it with everybody, because anybody can benefit from that. But this kind of a session works only if you've like done enough work already, right? So that's it for today. I will see you guys really soon next time around.